everybody, and welcome to our Thursday live. And so I know that you look forward to these lives because we give you a lot of amazing content and also have live interactions for you to ask questions. And we're also going to go into a raffle. And so there's a lot of good information. This week is only me. So usually it's me and Liz, but she's out on a beautiful cruise holiday down in Central America. So you will have me for today. And this is actually one of our favorite topics that we're going to talk about, which is finding and funding deals. So, how many of you are interested in not only finding the deals, but also funding the deals, right? So, that's, I want you to put in the comment box that, and what do you feel like you struggle the most when it comes to finding or funding deals? So, if you put that in the comments box, I will make sure that I cover what your most pressing questions or challenges are. So, one of the things I want to cover first is a little bit about us and about me personally. Real Estate Investing Women is a company that was funded by me and my daughter just a few years ago, although I've been coaching since the end of the 90s. I've been in real estate as an investor for almost 40 years, 4 decades, and I've done all kinds of things within the real estate arena, from wholesaling, buy and hold, and fix and flip. And if you wonder, my accents, where I'm from, I actually grew up in Italy, but I've been here in the United States for more than I have been alive in Italy. So it's been a long time. So, but once I came here from Italy, it took me only about 2 years to realize that real estate was the way to go. And honestly, I got in real estate just as a way to pay for college. So it wasn't something that I thought was going to be my lifetime career, right? Things change after a while when I saw the possibilities. But I started really not knowing what I was going to do within real estate. And I became an agent. I was a real estate agent in Hawaii. And then in 91, when I moved back to the mainland, I actually got into rental properties. And one of the first things that I wanted to really do is, finding properties, but I also was very aggressive, meaning that my goals were to have a property a month, to purchase one property a month. And if you wonder if that is possible, of course it is. I've done it, right? But the thing is, because I expected to be doing that. I expected to find properties. I expected to have these deals happening. I kept on track, and I got one property a month for about a year and a half until I finally stopped and kind of reorganized my business. And in the process of doing that, I came across another strategy, which is wholesaling. Back then, it was called flipping the contract. And also realized maybe some of these properties I could fix them myself, and that's where I got into fix and flip, and I would make higher profits. So all these strategies kind of organically work together, and I got into all three of them without really knowing, navigating from one to the next. So that was really intriguing. But the thing is, that came from the beginning, obviously, is how did I find the deals? So that's what I'm going to share with you today. And furthermore, we'll talk about how we're going to fund the deals. So, in the beginning, like I said, I got into rentals, and believe it or not, using very little to no bank financing because I was not in a financial situation to do that. I got into fix and flip again. I used some hard money, but mainly I did not. I used OPM with OPR, as they call it. I'll explain to you here in a few minutes. And then as I started gaining experience, then I got into what they call syndication. So in 2001, I got into raising private money on a higher level. And that's when I got into also new constructions, redevelopment, all kind of other shenanigans in my real estate career. But it was all started with finding and funding deals. And so this is why it's such a hot topic today. And I love to be sharing with you a little bit of the knowledge. Now, before we get into that, I would like to actually share with you something that is going to funding and funding deals is just a couple of pieces of the puzzle. Okay. There is a whole different vision here that I want you to have on how real estate really works. And I'm going to share with you here, bear with me. I'm going to share with you here is a chart that is probably going to highlight a little vision. And I want you to look at the chart and also kind of find out where you are within this, okay? So let me see here how I can pull up this chart. See, anyway, while I do that, let's go ahead into finding what it means by finding deals. Okay, so when we mean about finding deals, is actually here is the chart. Let me share this with you because I think it's going to highlight a little more what we are talking about today. Okay, so like I said, there is really, let me see, let me scroll it back up. Okay. Okay. So there are actually three different areas when it comes to do deals within real estate. You have deals, you have marketing, and you have a system. Okay. So deals, marketing, and system. And your focus is to consistently close deals, right? So then within today, we're going to talk about deals. We're going to talk on this side, on the left side of this triangle, and that includes lead generations, includes nurturing and following up, and includes financing and contracts. So we're going to talk more about that side of the triangle. But then you have the marketing. So once you have these deals, what do you do with them, right? How do you approach people? How you present yourself? How do you know if you're on the right track? That's why we want to measure KPI. And you need to do that before you get into scalability. Systems is the third thing that comes into that. System is when you have kind of the pieces of the puzzle together, now you can really exponentially grow. You know, a lot of time I see these people that come to us as far as learning about the training and real estate, and they want to set up a system. Well, to set up an hypothetical system that is not really, you don't have anything to put into the system, which is deals, it's not going to really work, right? So I prefer you go out there and do the deals first, get a couple of deals going, then you can start getting a system in place and automate and do all of that. But today we're going to talk about deals. And then later on today, if you wonder, is there a catch to it? No, there is not really a catch. I'm sharing with you a ton of good information. A couple of things we're doing at the end of this presentation. If you do want to learn more about our training, our community, how we're going to develop deals, marketing, and systems in a way that works through an automation model and also in a way that works to create consistent deals, you will be given a link to schedule a call. Actually, my assistants, you can go ahead and post a link now if somebody wants to do this now. You cannot be here until the end. And then also we're going to explain a little more about the support and community. So just schedule a call and then we can see where you are with your business, what your visions are, what you feel your roadblocks are, and more importantly, if you had a magic wand, where do you expect to be a year from now, right? Where you want to be. So team REIW, if you want to put a link, there you go. You can go ahead and start booking the calls. Now, let's get back into here talking about deals. Okay, so the leads. Where do you find the leads? So let me stop sharing here for a second and let's talk about that. So I have a theory. I have something that I came up with. And a lot of time when I have people come in this business, and I want you to keep sharing, please, in the comments, if that's you and what you feel. Let's put it this way. Put in the comments, what is your biggest challenge when it comes to finding deals? Let's talk about that, right? Let's talk about the elephant in the room right now, which is deals. Then the next thing we're going to talk the other elephant in the room, which is the money, right? But right now, let's talk about that. What are some of the biggest challenges here in finding deals? And in the team, I see that, one of the chats, I'm not sure if I see all of them. So if you can put them in Slack for me so that I can address some of those challenges, that would be amazing. So the thing is to finding deals and fast. right? How many of you would love to start closing deals in the next 4 to 6 weeks? Well, first of all, it's about really a mindset shift that you have to do. Remember what I said, that when I started this business, I was actually expecting to do a deal a month. There was no question in my mind if that was gonna happen or not. Okay, so it starts with doing the unexpected. So whatever I was doing for that month, whatever I was doing, I was doing because I wanted to generate one good deal a month. And now I was buying for rentals. So, it was a little more involved than just buying for wholesaling, right? And same thing with wholesaling. When I started doing wholesaling, I was expecting to do 5 deals a month. I was expecting to do 10 deals a month. So I knew I had to generate the many leads for me to create 5 deals, 10 deals a month. For rentals, I wanted to be a little more selective. I wanted a certain income. And so I was, one deal a month is what I was focused on. So with that said, is the next thing I did is I started going into what I call quick wins strategies. And some of you have heard that. Some of you here, students, I see you in the chat today. The quick wins. So there are two types of strategies the way that I look at to get leads. One is the quick wins, and one is the long nurture. The quick wins are simply the ones that, they're quick wins. You don't have to really jump through the hoops to get hold of the owner, to follow up. Do they want to do it? Maybe they have to think about it, that type of stuff that a lot of cold calling, texting, direct marketing, whatever the case might be, right? So that is a long nurture. The quick win is, people that are really already wanting to sell. They already have the property maybe on the market. There is something that's going on with them in their life that, they're out there. So that could be properties on the MLS. They could be for sale by owners. It could be, any different things that could be agents that they know of people out there that want to sell their properties. So those are the quick wins. Those are the ones that are already out there in the market wanting to sell the property, but for some reason they're not selling. Maybe it's priced too high. Maybe they haven't really done a good marketing, strategy on it. All that kind of stuff, right? It's not necessarily that the property is not viable, is a lot of our situations. So your question is there a way to actually do those type of deals? I mean, if this property has been on the market, for 6 months and hasn't sold, maybe there is an issue. Maybe they want too much. Maybe this, maybe that. And this is one of the biggest issues that I see a lot of new investors have, is second guessing why or what is going on. That's the biggest problem you have, because when you start second guessing, you don't know really what's going on at the end of the day, right? You're just guessing. And the other thing is, it's not always about the money, believe it or not, in this business. A lot of people, not everybody wants to be in real estate like you. A lot of people feel like they're stuck with this deal, they're stuck with this burden, they inherited this property, they don't want this piece of land, and they don't know what to do with it. They haven't got around to it. They haven't thought about it. It's just not one thing that they care about. And so that's why they need you. They need a real estate investor that is kind of a forward thinker, that is kind of thinking outside the box. This is the possibilities. Okay. So now let's give you an example. And we share with you a PDF at the beginning of the week. So make sure you go back in the group if you didn't download that PDF and look it up. It goes a little more into details. But the first thing you want to do is you want to identify your market, okay, where you're going to do this. That's the best thing. Focus. There is a lot of power. I call it the power of one. A lot of focus, but focus on one market, focus on one type of lead generation, one type of leads, focus on one marketing strategy to get those leads under contract. Focus on one. So let's say that you focus one market. If you're in a bigger metropolitan area, actually focus on one corner of this metropolitan area, maybe some neighborhood zip codes. And, newsflash, when I start buying my rentals, I start kind of all over the city, but then I focused and then I start wholesaling in the same zip codes, and I start fix and flip in the same zip code. So I kind of focused, and there were only 4 zip codes. And 4 zip codes were more than enough to keep me busy for over 20 years. Okay. So don't feel like you have to go all over the place. So with that said, you want to focus on an area. You want to focus on one type of lead generation, master it. Are you choosing the MLS? Are you choosing driving for dollars? Are you choosing properties that are going for auctions that are tax delinquent? Are you choosing evictions? Whatever you're choosing, focus on that strategy alone. Become so good at it that you could write a book about it. You could be here teaching everybody else how to do it. Okay. And that's one of the things we do with the students. We put them on stage and we give it what they call the 10-minute tactics to teach everybody else in the room something that's worked really well for them, that they mastered it. And so you focus, and then focus on one type of marketing. How you're going to reach out to these leads. The good thing about Quick Wins is that you don't have to go out there and follow up or hunt them down and so forth. Most of the time, their phone numbers are available. They're out there already putting something so they can be reached. For sale by owners, MLS strategies, co-wholesaling, agents, referrals, and so forth. Or if you go for a long nurture, how you're going to reach out to these people? You're going to send them a text and then maybe follow up with a phone call. But focus on one marketing strategy and tweak it. A lot of time I see new investors that want to do one strategy, but then they jump here and there, right? They just go from one thing to another thing, then go back to this thing. They never really master. My thought is, if it's worked for somebody else, and I approve and I've seen it work for another investor, it's going to work for me. Why not? I'll probably come up with even something more clever than the other investor, right? So that's the thing. If it worked for somebody else, why shouldn't it work for you? So that's as far as the leads are concerned. Now let's jump into funding the leads. So think outside the box, okay? So what if where there is a will, there is a way, okay? And I was reading a book here by this investor that actually he invests here where I live in South Florida. And he came here when he was 18, 20 years old with less than $20 in his pocket, got off the bus from Indianapolis, and he sat on a pier and he said, wow, the possibilities here are endless. And so to make a long story short, let's fast forward about 50 years. He's in his 60s now. And he does fix and flips for luxury property. By the time he was in his early 20s, he already done several $1 million flips. And he started with less than $20 in his pocket. So with that said, where there is a will, there is a way, okay? Be creative about it. Another one I interviewed for a podcast, she was living in her car somewhere in Mississippi, and she had no money. She was living in a car with her dog, and now she owns over 100 properties, and she did that in less than 5 years. So, the thing is, where there is a will, there is a way. So, stop finding excuses there. So when I started buying rental properties back in the 91, yes, I had to put myself out in a situation where I was not going to use bank financing. So to me, that was a non-negotiable thing. So I went out there, looked for opportunity. I went out there and looked for owner financing, lease options. I went out there and saw where somebody was willing to do something. Granted, I wasn't buying the best properties in the best parts of town. Okay, I bought anything I could get my hands on. I wasn't picky. But if the bank were willing to finance 100%, if I had an owner finance who was willing to finance it, if I had somebody who was willing renting with the option to buy in the future, or give me an installment contract or a contract for deed, anything like that, I would do it. I wasn't being too picky about it. I just needed to get my foot in the door. So once I got my foot in the door and I started generating income from this property, then yes, then it was easier for me to go out and get bank financing. It was easier for me to get other people to invest with me because now I had the proof. So what I'm saying to you in the beginning, maybe if you have to not use bank financing, be creative, be not afraid to just go in the parts of town that maybe you don't want to go to deal with. Okay. Trust me, those property make as much money or more than anything else. Actually, you make more money on those properties. So that's what I did. And so I was looking for opportunities. One good thing I learned is that back then, I would call people up and say they wanted to rent their properties. So I would look for the Sunday paper. This was pre-internet, guys. I would look for the Sunday paper and circle any properties for rent and for sale by owners and so forth. And then I would call these people up and I would simply say, I see that you're trying to rent your house. And I just have a question. Do you think you might consider selling it in the future? And if they say yes, then I will structure a lease option to buy. And then from a lease option to buy, I will do a contract for deed and then refinance the property and keep the property. So that was one of the strategies I use. And other strategies I use, I start contacting hard money lenders. And believe it or not, money lenders are like banks, right? So what they do is they do take properties back. People are not paying, and a lot of time they do it in a much easier way than to have to file a foreclosure, because a lot of time these deeds just revert back to them. So I start contacting hard money lenders in the area and find out what stuff they were taking back. What did they have? Because these hard money lenders also finance these properties 100% because I already had a loan on them with somebody else. So at the end of the day, they're like, you know what? These people go in and repair the property. At the end of the day, if they don't pay, we're going to get a whole fixed up property. They don't have to do the work. So that's another way to do it. So I went through lease options, owner financing, installment agreements, contract for deeds. I went through hard money lenders that wanted to sell their stuff. And then I contacted smaller banks and credit union, like local banks and credit union, and started getting into their portfolios too. And smaller banks and credit union are willing to finance more than the regular REOs. They will go up to 90, 100%, especially if it's not the best part of the town. They'll give me 100% financing. And also I got money to fix up the property from this bank. So nothing down. So you say, if you feel like, no, it's not true. Of course it is. I've done it. I'm doing it to this day. So the thing is, the less money you put down on a deal, the higher your return on the investment, right? So if you put nothing down on a deal, your return on investment is infinite, right? What's your return on zero? And that's the thing you have to look at. So even when you have the money to invest, I always look for ways to not use my own money because for me, real estate is more like Monopoly, right? The game where you buy real estate with other real estate, where you trade real estate for bigger properties or other businesses. That or how you look at real estate. I know you guys know about, a lot of you have the cash flow game, Monopoly game. It teaches you a lot about this concept of leveraging. And that's how you fund and find deals. Okay. The moral of the story, think outside the box. Okay. Where there is a will, there is a way. Stop finding excuses and do it. I watched last night again. I hadn't seen in a long time the movie The Pursuit of Happiness. And that to me is a great movie about determination, right? About determination and resilience and not finding excuses. And at one point, as Will Smith in the movie, at one point, his wife, she's obviously whining and walking away. And he turns around to her and he said, "You are weak." And that's the thing, that it's just like, you're weak. She didn't have the strength to do that, that he did. I mean, and the guy, even I look up the real guy, his name is Chris Gardner, and he is a story about this real person. And he had to spend nights in the toilets of the subway in San Francisco with his son. And he was bringing his suit with him every day where he go because he didn't have a place to stay. He stayed in shelters, and now he is worth $70 million. Okay. So there are people there that have the resilience, but I love it when he said he turned around and he said to his wife, "You are weak," because she was whining and complaining. Another thing he said in the movie, he says, don't make the choices of where you are now, make the choices of who you want to become. So if you want to be that person, successful real estate investor, living the life, having these properties, having the money and the income, you make your choices today based on the person that you want to be, or that person that you want visualize you can be, not the person that you are today that is struggling to get anything off the ground, right? So there is a lot of golden nuggets there, but it's like really getting you into the mindset of how to be successful. And once you get into that, like when I started with finding properties, there was no question I could get a property a month and build up a rental portfolio. My goal initially was to have $5,000 of passive income every month. Okay, and I doubled that in 18 months. And it's about really setting up goals, and then milestones, and then steps, right? So if your goal is that 6 months from now you're going to make $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, whatever your case might be, from wholesaling, for example, okay, that's your goal. What milestones are going to get you there, and what steps do you have to do? And that's why I want to go back a second here and share with you this slide again, because I want to break it down a little more. So you see that we talked about deals and funding, how this is all going to play together. Okay, so let's see, bear with me. Okay, so going back to this here, then it's about the deals, the marketing, the systems, and then with each ones. Okay, so these are, call these as goals. Then on each ones you have milestones, and then after that you have steps. And that's one of the things I share with you is you want to focus, right? You want to focus on one area, one type of lead generation, one marketing strategy, focus one. And when you do that, you're going to get there much faster. So like one of the things we do with newer students, I tell to them, in 4 weeks, I want you to start closing deals. And we're going to focus on one thing. Yeah, it's not the most exciting, right? I mean, it's like you're going to focus on one thing. But at the end of the day, do you want to close a deal? Don't you want to make $10,000, $20,000 by next month? And then if I tell you how to do it, just follow that, right? Just follow the process. It's been tested. So what I'd like you to do is we're going to get into some Q&A here. So, go ahead and start typing in the chat box. Let me know. We did a little bit of a different level of presentation today. We did it more like a little workshop. So share with me if you like this type of format. Also type in the chat box if you have any questions. I want to get them in a minute. We're also going to get into some raffles here in a second too. And also, if you want to schedule a call, we love to let you know how our community works. So let me share a little bit here more about that. Okay, so we have an amazing community, and is basically we have 5 calls a week. 5 calls a week. I don't know of any program out there that gives you that many support. I see a lot of the students here today. Okay, so it's nice seeing you here, Wendy, Laura. So we have 5 calls a week, Monday through Friday, and these calls are geared to answer your questions, to support you. Then within each one of these calls, we have different layers depending on where you are in your business. So if you're a beginner, you're going to one room. And if you are more advanced on deals, you're going to separate rooms, right? You don't want to hear the ABCs all the time. So we have this training that kind of grows with you. And for us, it's also about building a community, a supportive community. So it's not just about the training. Obviously, that's a big part of it, but also the community that support you. And we want women in the community that are eager and willing to pay it forward. Not just that it's about, oh, look at me, I'm successful, but you'll have to figure it out. No, it's about doing that as well. So we have support, we have a forum, we have unlimited support. And also we have action plans and game plans. So during the kickoff call, we actually give you a game plan of what to do. So some of you said it's too big for your screen. See, I don't know if I can make it bigger here. So, okay. Okay, sorry about that. But anyway, maybe you can maximize on your screen so you can make it bigger or smaller. because that's what it shows on my end. But so go ahead and, there is a lot more that goes into this that we would love to share with you. So go ahead and schedule a call, and then we can talk more about it. Okay. So don't worry if you cannot see the full chart, Caroline. Like I said, I just want to kind of give you an idea that we do have the community support, and we have everything that you need to really create a business. And that's from wholesaling, buying, holding, fix, and flip. So team, if you want to go ahead and post a link here for you guys, go ahead and book a call. There is no obligation. We want to learn more about you, what your vision is, what your challenges are, what you feel that we can help you to support you. But more importantly, the vision, right? If you have a goals, what milestones and steps can we create with you to get you to your vision as quickly as possible? And yeah, so let's go ahead and take some questions here. So, go ahead and type them in. And team, if you can go ahead and I know we are broadcasting through different platforms, so I don't think I see all the platforms here in my chat. So make sure you do that. So while we do that, we're going to go ahead and do the raffle. And this week, let me share my screen with you. Let's see. Okay, so this week we are giving away Liz bouquet. Okay, that's cute. Let's see. Trying to bear with me here. Okay, so she has some books here. I'm trying to see how I can get my screen the biggest possible. Unfortunately, I don't think I can. Anyway, the books we have, actually, one is one of my favorite, is Gabrielle Bernstein. I love that book, and I have all of her books, by the way. So that's one, actually, that book I introduced. The other one is going to be Girl Code, is on the left, and then Fearless and Fabulous, and then Relentless. Okay, so these are the books, and then you have all these amazing little bookmarkers as well. And yeah, so this is actually really good. I have most of these books myself. So the winner this week is Cindy Prater. Cindy Prater, you need to email in at questions@realestateinvestingwomen.com. You have 1 week to claim the prize. So even if you're not live, make sure hopefully you watch this live, and you can claim your week, within a week. So Cindy Prater, you won this week, and I know you're an amazing person. I think this will be really, really helpful for your real estate career. Okay, because a lot of time I see that, honestly, we just have to get out of our own way. Okay, so great. So anyone has questions here? I don't see any questions in my chat. Hold on a second here. Let me go to the other chat. Let's see. Okay. Taking actions. I see some of my team is sending me some of the screenshots. People want too much when selling. Well, that's the thing is happening right now in the industry, by the way. We're kind of seeing a shift here from a seller's market to a buyer's market. But when things shift, it doesn't shift overnight. Okay. There is a slow motion of things, so you have the seller still kind of holding up here. I think it's 2023 or 2022 as far as prices. And then you have the buyers here who are leery because, it's election year. There's a lot of things going on with the economy. So you have buyers here holding down. So you the sellers holding up and the buyers holding down. So as the investor, you're kind of in the middle, right? So as an investor, you kind of have to play what I call a tug of war, meaning trying to get the seller to come down as much as possible. Now, if you do have a buyer, like if you're a wholesaler, you have a buyer, then obviously get the buyer to see if you get them to make an offer, and then trust, believe me, the buyer is always going to come up a little more. They're always going to try low as much as the seller wants to get high, right? So then you get that. And then when you get the two contracts, don't sign them. And then I go back and forth between the two of them, see if I can get the buyer to come up, the sellers to come down, and carve enough in the middle for me to make a profit as a wholesaler. Now, if you do buy properties for rentals, to me, it's more of a function of income. So I'm not really worried as much as the property cost, more how much it's going to make. Okay. So at the end of the day, if I'm making my $250, $300 net after expenses per door, and I have a 4-unit building, I'm making $1,000, $1,500 a month, I'm not worried about the price of the building itself. Yeah, to a certain extent. But when you do a buy and hold, I assume most of you are going to buy for the long term. You're not going to flip this property within the next year or two. So that's the thing. It's a different function, more of a cash flow standpoint, where if honestly, I don't worry too much when I buy rentals on ROI, because I don't put a lot of cash down anyway. So I'm not worried about getting a return on my cash. I'm worried more about the monthly cash flow, if that makes sense. Where the wholesaling is more of a tug of war between the two. Okay, but that was a good question. Let's see. 7% rule. Not sure that, are you talking, Carolyn, the 70% rule maybe? I don't know of a 7% rule. But if it's the 70%, I personally never used it. And I have a lot of, I don't like that rule, because 70%, it can be very different between if it's 70% of 500,000 or 70% of 100,000, right? So 70% of 100,000, there is $150,000 spread. So you're telling me that the seller they're already holding up their prices high, they're going to go down to 350, right? So no, I mean, obviously 70% of 100,000 is much more realistic. It's 30,000. So to me, it's more of a function of looking at the properties to see what their value is as far as the property is concerned, what similar properties have sold for. Okay. And yeah, of course, everybody has to make a win-win. So if you're a wholesaler to a rehabber, you need to account that they want to make their 10, 15% after repair value profit. But if you have a rehabber who wants to make 30% profit and it doesn't care how much money I make, if anything, no, why would I work with you, right? So you have to be really also selective too. At the end of the day, these buyers, quote unquote, they need you, right? They need you to supply properties. And if you're not willing to make a win-win situation, they make money, but I make money, I don't work with them. That's not who I want to work with. I prefer having a couple of really strong buyers that I work with. I have an amazing relationship. They're having dozens and dozens that are really just trying to make all the profits, and there is no skin left on the bone. Okay. Or meat, I should say, left on the bone. Okay, great. Well, thanks everybody here for doing today. Hopefully this was informative. Like I said, please book a call. We can get more into how the program works, how the community is. We have some amazing things. I've done some amazing things lately as far as the community. We also have an amazing guarantee that we are the only coaches here that do that, which is the peace of mind. Meaning that once you're with us, I'm Italian, so I jokingly say it's like mafia, right? When you're in, you never get out. But what we do is that we give you the peace of mind guarantee. So I want this to be the end of the line for you as far as trying to get any training. I know a lot of you have attended different master classes, joined different programs, and still not getting anywhere. It's getting frustrated, spend a lot of money. I hear the stories every single day, and I'm here to break that mold. I'm here to break that, make a different story for you, that yes, we're here to support you, make sure you're successful, and we're going to be with you until you are. So hopefully you decide to check us out, schedule a call. We can explain more all the mechanics of it, and I will see you next week. Take care.